Okay, you guys, I'm gonna just give a quick little tutorial about the best way to set up your book pages for your final project. Obviously we're gonna be working in InDesign. We'll do create new like we normally do. And the size for this is 8 by 10. And I kind of mentioned that in the assignment parameters. So we're going to have an 8 by 10 inch document. Okay, make sure you're working in inches, of course. Number of pages, we're going to do 9. Okay, we're going to make sure that facing pages is checked because we're designing in spreads. All right, and number of columns, I think we'll bump that up to 4. All right, column gutter doesn't really matter. You might want to have it around 0.25, 0.2, somewhere in that range. Okay, so we're going to do 8 by 10 inches, 9 pages, facing pages, and 4 columns. All right, and then we're going to hit create. All right. Now you're going to see something like this. Obviously, this is page 1. Now, since we're designing in spreads, we're going to just leave page 1 blank. Okay. So actually, I'm going to just even put a big fluorescent pink box over page 1 so that I don't design it. Okay. And then we've got our spreads. All right. We've got pages 2 and 3, 4 and 5, 6 and 7, 8 and 9. All right. So these are the 4 spreads that we're going to be designing on. Okay. Now, I've mentioned the type of content that you should have on these spreads. It should be a little bit of text, a little bit of imagery. You could do some illustration if you want. But the idea here is that because you're choosing an experimental artist or architect or musician, your text layout should be somewhat experimental too. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of open a quick sample that I did so you guys can sort of get a rough idea for what we're looking for here. All right, these are my 9 pages. Obviously page 1 we're going to leave blank, and then we get into kind of the guts of it. Okay, now one of the spreads you have to do is called a chapter opener. Now this is a chapter opener. It sort of introduces a new chapter. Okay, so we got a chapter number, kind of a quick description, and I'm not using real text here, I'm just using kind of dummy text. But this would be sort of the introduction to a chapter. Okay, so that's got to be one of your spreads, as a chapter opener. And then we get into more of the meat of the chapter, and you can see that like I'm still sort of abiding by my grid structure here. I'm using my columns to lay out text, but not totally. Okay, I'm getting a little bit experimental in places like this, right? Incorporating a little bit of imagery here too. Here I'm getting a little bit more conservative with my grid structure and my text layout. And then onto the 4th spread, I kind of go really kind of crazy. Okay, so I'll take the guides off so you can kind of see what these look like. This is obviously if I was doing an architect, because the images are all of architecture. But your images will obviously be different than this. Okay, so just to kind of give you an idea of what you're after for these 4 spreads, I hope that helps. And as usual, if you have any questions, send me an email. See you guys in class.